What is going on, fight fans and full-time family? It's your boy Full-Time MMA, and I'm here to break down Dana White's response to the reports of Masvidal versus McGregor. Pump the brakes. You guys know Dana White is not going to let Conor McGregor go in there and get baptized by the street Jesus. Dana White recently appeared on some media. He was on some show and they were asking him about the possibility of Masvidal versus McGregor. And of course, in the true El Jefe Dana White fashion, a people pleaser, he said anything is possible. Anybody that is a fan of Masvidal or even just a fan of the fight game is probably wanting to see Masvidal versus McGregor at this point because that would be a great fight, matchup-wise and all. Matchup and momentum-wise. But Dana White, the businessman he is like in the UFC, the new owners, they're likely not going to book that fight right now. It is one of the two fights I would say that you could book Masvidal in. There's really only two fights if it's not the title fight against Kamaru Usman. The only two guys that really deserve to fight Jorge Masvidal right now are Conor McGregor and Nick Diaz. And a lot of people don't believe Nick Diaz is ever going to return, but I'll offer you this. If he is ever going to return, this is the fight. He can't return against anybody else and already have the fight built. Already have the fight marketed. Masvidal just came off beating up little brother. Big brother coming out of retirement to try and take on Street Jesus. Try and get one back for little brother. Someone said, oh, well, Nick Diaz could have came and tried to avenge Nate. No, because Nate is 1-1 with Conor. It's not 0-1. Nate won the first fight with Conor. You don't need Nick Diaz to offend Nate Diaz or to avenge Nate Diaz when we already know Nate Diaz can beat Conor. Conor and Nate can settle their own trilogy. You don't need Nick for that. Nate got his ass whipped by Masvidal, and so Nick Diaz coming in to try and get one off of Masvidal, especially at 170 pounds, which was already Nick Diaz's weight class. This would be the best time for Nick to come back. Give him some pay-per-view points. The fight's sold. Come on. If you want a super fight, that's the one. Now, the only tricky part there is getting Nick Diaz back. But as far as Conor McGregor, Dana White is saying that's not the fight. There's multiple reasons. Conor could fight Khabib. Conor could fight Nate Diaz. Conor could fight the winner of Ferguson and Gaethje. Conor's got options. There's a lot of people for Conor to fight, and that's not necessarily the case for Masvidal. And Masvidal has a great chance of beating McGregor, so the UFC, honestly, it wouldn't be the best business decision to book Masvidal versus McGregor, because if Masvidal wins, which is likely, you kind of are hurting yourself. Because even after that, okay, now what? Now Masvidal fights Usman? So, I don't believe they're going to book that fight. And Dana White is also, he's saying, pump the brakes. Someone asked me about it. I said anything's possible, and now we're getting reports. He's not going any further than that. So, the fight's likely not going to happen, and especially now, you guys. I mean, until Fight Island is up and running, it's going to be hard to get any of these international fighters into the octagon. So Dana White is seemingly trying to fast forward Fight Island as quick as possible, and he came out also and mentioned the fact that Conor McGregor's ready to fight, and he hinted at Conor McGregor returning to fight at Fight Island. But the problem with that is Conor brings so much money. He said, Dana White, I believe, said $20 million gate. And so the UFC is going to take a hit, having Conor McGregor fight in a silent arena. You're not going to hear all the fans. Conor sells out no matter where he goes. You're missing out on a lot of potential money and revenue from those fans filling up that arena when Conor McGregor fights. He's still going to make a lot of money on the pay-per-views, but you're still going to take a hit booking Conor to fight in a fanless arena. And Dana White has hinted that might have to happen because, as we talked about before, with this whole COVID situation, and especially with the parts of America reopening, you can imagine a lot of places like Russia or Brazil or anywhere else in the world where a lot of fighters are based out of. They're not going to want to let their fighters go to and from America with all of this going on. Like, there's just going to be more and more travel restrictions, not less. And so for Dana White to get international fighters to fight each other and even American fighters, she's going to have to figure out some loophole, which is hopefully Fight Island. So people will be at ease about their fighters, potentially going to America, or American fighters going to other places. I'm sure the same way some countries don't want their fighters going to America, I'm sure some Americans would be reluctant, to go book a fight over in Wuhan. So they need Fight Island to make this happen. And Dana White, they've revealed the testing protocols that are going to be in place. They're really taking it to as far as testing is concerned and COVID precautions, they're going the full 9 yards. That's the only way they're going to be able to allow this thing to happen, is if they take this super serious. So with that being said, we got a few more things to talk about. Stay tuned for the next videos. But as far as Masvidal versus McGregor, not likely, but anything is possible. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. I'm out.